I have Nicholas Gibbs here, and who could I rather have to celebrate one of the best days yet in the Tesla world? Nicholas, you have been busy. You've been live streaming for 4 hours, and now you're just coming over here. Holy mackerel.
I had to get warmed up, Randy. Had to get warmed up.
Well, not only that, you managed to, be sitting around with a bunch of other really smart guys. So now you should be really prepared for this meeting because now it's just you and me, baby.
Oh, that's the beauty. We get to hear everybody's perspectives, and what I normally have learned from doing these, over the last several years, is that when you talk to different people, you, there are certain little things, nuggets that you didn't pick up that other people did pick up, and I don't know, it's the beauty of it. So I'm looking forward to hear what nuggets you took away that I just clearly missed. I'm happy
Yeah,
to learn.
there's so much that I was, thinking about this show and thinking, we need about 7 hours
Yeah,
to
right.
actually go through this. And then there's no organization. I mean, I have zero organization to the show tonight because there was just such an amazing amount of stuff. First of all, I'd like to say that the market has not reacted to the entire thing. It is the after hours is flat. Last time I checked, it was up 3 cents or something. It had been up
Um,
a couple of dollars, and
we're
last
we're up 80 cents right now.
80 cents now. Okay, so it's been fluctuating back and forth
Yeah.
between 3 cents and about $2. Anyway, so let's see. My thumbnail. Let's start with the thumbnail because I hate to bury the lead, and so my thumbnail says 25 trillion Optimus. So Elon confirmed. Well, I'll let you just tell it.
Yeah, I mean, right. First, he walked us up with Robotaxi and saying that he's pretty much aligned with what ARK Invest has put out there. So, Robotaxi alone, anywhere from 5 to 10 trillion. And then when it comes to Optimus, which he highlighted that ARK didn't even have that in there, he thinks, anywhere from 20, 25 to 30 trillion is, I mean, and he literally said Optimus alone, 10x the most valuable company. So
Yeah,
that's 30 trillion
yeah, right.
without Robotaxi. So maybe anywhere from, we're talking 25 to 40 trillion is really the range we're looking at, is what he anticipates for the long term value of Tesla with Optimus and Robotaxi.
And
So
that's
it's
and that's and that's with a 25 PE.
multiple. Yeah.
Multiple, yeah. So and actually when you get into that number being that big, I suspect that will drive that PE, even if the company still can grow 50% a year, it won't be able to have a PE of 50 or 60 when it's worth 10 apples. It's
Yeah.
just too crazy. So anyway, but that was interesting for him. He has given us price analysis previously. A few times he said price of Tesla is too high right now. And other times he says, nope. He says, I don't understand why the price is so low right now. This time he's actually said this is what he thinks the valuation is going to be in 2029. Were you shocked that he was willing to go out on that limb?
Yeah. I think he said 2029. He said, what did he say? 5 to 7 trillion, something like that.
5 to 7 trillion. That was just for Cybercab.
Yeah. Yeah. So he said that for 2029.
Yeah.
Um, I'd be happy with that, Randy.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I would be happy with that.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm figuring 3 trillion for the other. In other words, for all the cars and the trucks, everything else would be worth about 3 trillion. And then you add 7 trillion, let's say for Cybercab. So you got 10 trillion, not counting Optimus or anything else that might come along like Dojo.
yeah.
So I didn't want to bury the lead. That was kind of a little bit surprising to me that he's basically putting a PT on it.
Yeah. And what's crazy is, like, let's say that he's wrong by 50%.
Yeah, right.
Like, what? Are you kidding me? That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
It's
So
still just huge.
now there is a big but, right? And the big but is that all this is predicated on Robotaxi. So, you know, we still got to do the thing.
Well,
We still need to.
it isn't predicated on Robotaxi though. It's predicated on Optimus because Optimus is going to be ostensibly about 4 times as big as robotaxi.
True.
So Optimus could happen without robotaxi.
True. True.
I think both of us think robotaxi will happen. But as long as we're talking about robotaxi, why don't you put up the video that we just discovered, you guys just discovered over on that live stream, and show us what you found.
Yeah, so I'll set the stage real quick. So at the very end of that live stream, if you stuck around for the shareholder meeting, Tesla decided to do a little Easter egg leak, and this is from Tesla. This is at the end of the meeting. I've confirmed this, so let's take a look. Coming soon. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good little Easter egg.
Yeah. So we saw the typical Uber, the car coming to the location. While she's waiting for the car to come to the location, she's on her app and she gets to choose her climate control. So
Yep.
she decides she'd like to have it down to
Yes.
68 when she gets in the car.
Yep.
And so maybe there's other things she'll be able to control as well, but at least that.
This was a missed opportunity, as Matt pointed out. We should have had it here. Instead, she keeps going to 68.
Yeah, okay.
And then
and then we see the car arriving and we only get the nose and the tail. We miss the middle and it seems intentional.
right there. Yeah. Oh, so close.
Or it could be that this is just an owner car, that we're just seeing a Model 3 or a Model Y here driving away. But if it is the new one, then they didn't let us see the middle of the car. So we're not sure 100% sure what we're seeing there, but it was a fun little teaser.
I think this is the Airbnb model, like he's saying, like this is, hey, Randy, put your car, you're going to, I don't know, where were you just now? Vermont? You're
Vermont.
going, yeah, you're going out there. Well, look, put your Tesla to work while you're gone.
Yep. So it could be, or okay. So, and then the alternative, and they talked about this, was okay. There will be, he confirmed there will be owned vehicles. Tesla will have their own fleet, and then the rest of us will have the opportunity to have one or more cars in a fleet of our own, and making money off of it. And I think, without getting into lots and lots of details, because then the show could run on for hours. The idea that I went kind of deep on a program the other day was that there's peak hours and off hours, and this combination of owned vehicles and consumer owned vehicles might allow that to be really flexible. So Tesla could have enough vehicles of their own out there to cover it in the middle of the night, when I might not want my car out in the middle of the night, but I want my car out there on Friday night and Saturday night when they really need a lot of cars. Anyway, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, or even, yeah, I mean, the nice thing here is how this can easily ebb and flow, and Tesla can be the base of stock of robotaxis out there, and then we can just add and remove, and as it goes. We were having a conversation on our live stream about a way that this could be priced that I don't think I've heard discussed. And credit to Matt for mentioning this, but right now there's people like me who bought FSD outright.
Right. Same here.
And okay, so I would imagine that Tesla would have some kind of gate to be able to add it into this robotaxi, right? So as in, whether it's an enterprise version of a license for FSD, or you have to buy it outright or something. But then Matt brought up a good point. It's like you would want to get as many robotaxis out there as possible. So you don't want to have a barrier of entry for people to put their vehicle in there. And that's where he had a really obvious great idea. And really that's the cell phone model, right? I don't want to spend $1,000 for a model. Nobody does. So what did Apple do? They subsidized it. So
Right.
imagine if instead of you paying the now $20,000 that it costs to buy FSD outright in order for you to have it in the system, you only get 50% of the robotaxi fare. Tesla gets the other 50 until you pay off your 20,000.
Right.
And then at that point, you can get 60 or 75%. Whereas people like us, we start off with our 75%.
Right.
And you reduce the barrier. People like it's there's so many options once they have this, it's insane.
Yeah. So, and then in terms of timeline, he wasn't willing to give a timeline other than to say, pay attention to the Cathie Wood model, to the ARK Invest model. He said that is the most accurate analysis that he has seen. And so that must be roughly about what he thinks it will be in terms of how it starts to move out. And Cathie Wood says she's thinking that there will be a significant amount of revenue by 2027. So that would allow for a fairly small rollout in the beginning, accelerating the rollout maybe by state or by country. And then by 2026, 2027, it would start to be real numbers, which again would be plenty soon enough for all of us to, put our feet up in Hawaii and not have to ever work again.
That's true. That's true. I was surprised that nobody asked him, "Hey, Elon, when do you think the robotaxi fleet will go live? Like, what's an approximation? Anything?" Like, it was just shocking. Nobody asked this
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Like, we literally have 8.8 coming up. Like, nobody asked, "Hey, 8.8's coming up. What can we expect?"
I
Can
don't know if
can
that
you
was
just
you. I don't know if that was you and I that talked about that, but it might have been. I know I did with somebody on one of these evening shows, and I think that he is, he's looking at 12 version 12.6 or 12 version. Yeah, he's seeing a couple versions out there. He knows where he knows that he's gonna have he's gonna be very close to our have it on 8.8, or he wouldn't have called the 8.8 thing. That's what I think.
Yeah. I feel like he got off stage and he was like, "Wow, nobody asked me the most obvious question." Like,
It's
we're
like,
literally less than 60 days away now, right? It's
yeah, yeah.
like
He did
or about
say,
his next comp. Or
yeah,
his next comp. Nobody asked like, "Whoa, okay, we
no,
got
yeah,
this.
yeah. What
When are
about
we gonna get the next one?"
so there was also he also mentioned there was a lot of things though in terms of those kind of um what do we call it catalysts are checkpoints going forward. He did mention that the Gen 2.5 car that they are expecting that to be moving right out in the beginning of next year. So that was confirmed that that's moving along towards
He
towards
said that?
didn't he? Am I confusing myself?
I don't know. If he did, I missed that one.
Oh, okay. I
Well,
thought he did.
that's what I'm saying. That's why I love this because I didn't hear that. I didn't
Maybe
catch that.
maybe I blew it because there was so many of those kinds of things. So then we have, let's go to Optimus for a minute, because that is the biggest of all the things that could happen. And on Optimus, this was like, to me, there was so much news here. I'll just give you one and then you give me one in terms of what you thought was big. He said that there's one major mechanical improvement to make, that mechanical improvement should be done by the end of the year, and therefore they should be our beginning of next year, and so they should be able to go into limited production at the beginning of next year, and that they would have 1,000 or more in the factory next year. So those were all new, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think none of that was there.
Yeah, I thought he said 1,000 to several thousand, right?
Yes.
In the factory. That was it's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and a
That's
fast ramp from there. So
yes.
he also said, he says, once we've got that 1,000 to 2,000 in the factory and we've got that kind of all worked out, then there would be a fast ramp from there. So I thought all of that was completely new and extremely exciting. But within that, What do you think that the big mechanical thing that they still have to solve is?
Oh, the hand. It's the hand. Yeah, it's definitely the hand.
Yeah,
There might be a couple other things that like they might want to move some of the motors to be more embedded into the forearm, or the motors, the actuator. Well, it's the same thing technically. But they might want to make it more embedded into the forearm. They might want to do something around the knee articulation. I'm sure there's like little tweaks like that. But when he was saying that, in my mind, I would bet money he was just talking about the hand.
right. And so there was a lot of conversation about the hand and the arm, and the another big. He said that was going to have 22 rain
Degrees of freedom.
degrees of freedom, and he said it will be able to play the piano. So shout out to Scott, who he's been talking about whether it can play the piano or not for a very long time. But I was disappointed because I guess Elon's not watching my show, because I said, well, wait a minute, we need to have it be able to play the violin. That's a harder instrument.
But could you imagine that? Imagine you have let me just paint a scenario for you here, Randy. The year is 2029.
Right,
We have robo taxis proliferating. Tesla stock has 5 to 10x.
right.
Many Tesla multimillionaires have been created yet again. Randy's hosting the party for the Tesla loyals. Optimus is going around serving drinks, appetizers, clean up behind people. Another Optimus is sitting there next to the grand piano, playing a nice little rendition of whatever. Just imagine this world. Like
Yeah.
it's for all we know, this is 5 years away.
Right. And I'm going to, normally I try not to be very commercial on this channel, but you see, I have breaking news too. And I'm going to break in with this. I just got this news today. This is going to be so cool. If anybody that doesn't take advantage of this, that owns their own company or that has a brand of any kind, they're going to want to do this. I can now do these custom for only $6. I don't want to do 6, but I'll do 6. $30 a piece, $30, what do you call it? Art fee. And we'll do 6 of these. Anything you want on there, any wrap, anything can be 4-color, can be process. And if you get over 12, it comes down to only $27 a piece and no setup charge. So anyway, that's my news for the day. I had to say it because I had exciting news for my company too. Anyway, all right, so let's go back to the Optimus. All right, so the other thing, he reiterated that he thinks there will be 1 for every human, maybe 2 and maybe 3 for every human on Earth. There will be that many robots out there. I thought it was odd that he keeps talking about how important it is for Tesla to be first, or to be making a lot of them before these other companies out there. I think with the TAM of 10 billion, it won't really matter if you're first or not.
Well, I think it does, because you set the stage for how to do this right. Because think about it. Imagine if the first ones go out and they start hurting people, like not like Terminator, but like, oh, it fell on our kid, or oh, it stepped on the dog, or it pinched us, or grabbed us too hard, or broke this. Like, imagine like that becomes a perception, right? That could become those stories proliferate. So I think setting the standard and being out there first in that regard, and having a high standard, is very important for this. And you want to be the first mover. You just do.
Yeah. And of course, he pointed out all the reasons why Tesla will probably be the first mover in terms of their electrical engineering, their mechanical engineering, their capabilities in terms of a manufacturer to scale up quickly,
Yeah.
their supply chain, the fact that they've already been making all these parts in-house. I mean, he just went down the list of all the ways that these other companies will have a real struggle trying to get to that status ahead of Tesla. So all that was extremely fun. Was there anything else on Optimus
Maybe just a disagreement I don't agree with Elon. I don't think other people will get there the way he thinks. I mean, I have yet to see anybody have a reusable first stage. I have yet to see anybody have anything equivalent of Starship. I've yet to see anybody make a profitable EV. I've yet to see somebody be able to do anything near the equivalent of FSD without any lidar, radar, or ultrasonics. I've yet to see anybody put the cameras needed or the inference computers. I mean, so like, with all due respect, Elon, what name one thing where somebody else has been able to do the same thing, or there's even a number two yet? Like, I don't see it. Do you see another boring company yet? I don't. Do you see someone else that can do Starlink? I mean, Amazon's doing stuff, but they're using SpaceX to ship it up. But I
not
don't
even
even think that that's profitable yet. So
not even over-the-air updates as good as Tesla. A few of them
yeah,
over the air, but it's barely useful. I did remember one more thing on Optimus, which was actually my number one question that I wanted somebody to ask, and they did. And that is, yes, Optimus will have a voice. Yes, your car will have a
oh
voice.
yeah.
And you'll be able to choose the personality, not just the voice, but even the personality. Now, I don't think that'll be immediately, but over time, you'll be able to choose the personality of your robot.
What are you choosing, Randy? Raquel Welch? What are we
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, I tell you, we'll have to think that one through. We'll have to think that one through. How about you? Do you have a personality in mind?
That's a good question.
See,
Uh,
But
I
that
would
is
love to see. I would love to have like a Ryan Reynolds.
a Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I think he's hilarious.
Okay.
I think he's absolutely hilarious. Y- you know who Ryan Reynolds is, right?
I do.
Deadpool. Yeah.
All right, listen, if we go out of the Optimus thing for a minute, we've got the 4680, which was high, also very high on my list of the things I wanted to be asked about. And we finally got something I consider to be a good response. He says it is not currently the most competitive battery, that he can buy other batteries cheaper. I thought that was not a great answer because he didn't really answer about the $7,500 incentive, or the $4,500 rather, incentive from the U.S. government. I can't imagine he can import a battery from China and still beat that $4,500, but maybe.
I can.
No, it doesn't seem right to me.
No, I think they can.
Oh, you think
I
they can?
yeah,
Or
I
you think
do.
they're so cheap right now?
Well, there's a lot of things, right? I mean, container costs have actually come down recently. We see oil prices coming down, right? All that goes to the price of shipping, but then also you can see that electric vehicles in China are slowing down in comparison.
Yeah,
So there's a glut,
yeah. Huge,
right?
huge.
So yeah, so I mean, I, if you're making them in house for yourself, right, and you yourself are not at economies of scale versus a battery manufacturer who's building for
Okay.
tens of companies,
Yeah,
and those tens of companies are now pulling back and cutting back what they were going to do. Well, of course, these battery manufacturers are going to try to cut a deal with Tesla and say, hey, we'll give you a sweetheart deal if you guarantee that you will buy these, because we need a guarantee that our production lines are up. I mean, like, you start thinking about it,
yep, yep.
and when do things change? When do electric vehicles pick up again? When do interest rates get cut? When does China's economy pick back up? We don't know, but we do know we can rely on Tesla, get a sweetheart deal for them, for us. It's a win-win. So I think that might be what's playing into the reason I say that is because he equated it to DRAM, and anybody who's ever been in the server business,
Yeah,
you know that server prices or profitability for server companies are huge upswings and huge downswings, all based on, when he said DRAM, he's talking about memory,
yeah,
right? It's like DDR4, DDR6. That's what he's talking about. And the price for those dictated really the profits for all these physical server companies. And
yeah.
so it's a beautiful example, if you understand that industry, of what's going on with the batteries here.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying is it might actually be
Yeah.
more than a $4,500 difference. That'd be crazy. So then he does go on to say, though, that 4680 will be competitive by the end of the year. at least there's a path to, they're seeing a path to cost parity by the end of the year. So then that might mean as they ramp up and they get their costs down, maybe we will start to see the batteries going into other vehicles besides just the Cybertruck.
That would be very interesting.
So
Uh,
okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because I imagine those would be for the next gen vehicle more so than
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
3 or Y.
So then we also, speaking of the Cybertruck, he said that they did have a week where they produced 1,300 Cybertrucks. And for those of us that aren't as rich as other people, what was the big announcement?
Yeah, we're I think next quarter we're gonna start having the non-Cyber Beast deliveries.
The non foundation models. So the foundation
Yeah.
models will they'll end the foundation models sometime in the third quarter, and then somewhere around the fourth quarter they will start shipping the regular Cybertrucks. So my goal has always been to get ours in February or March of next year. So maybe we're not that far off in terms of in getting it then. That'd be kind of fun to get it then. So anything else on Cybertruck? I don't think I remember anything. Oh, I know. Exports next year.
Yeah, maybe. Right,
Maybe.
is what he said. Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. And I'm happy with what he said. You you don't want to get into too many different iterations out the gate. You really want, like what he was saying, one, go from we just got into production.
Yeah.
All right, now, and he even said it's about 3 iterations of that before we actually start to really take the pennies out and really make it cost effective and really start to learn. After that, it makes sense to start looking at exports and tweaking things and maybe making a whole nother line for European regs or China regs, Australia regs. But right now, you really want to refine what you got. You know, let's not get too distracted and work on all these other things and, you know, sacrifice what we just got to.
Right. By the same token, I think that was news because I think that's the first time he's ever said that they would they have a plan to actually export Cybertruck. Up till now, I was believing that they thought, it might not be worth it, but maybe the response internationally has just been so huge that they decided to go that route. So I thought that was a pretty big piece of news out there.
Yeah, I mean, especially in China and Australia.
Yeah. And then we had semi-truck. So we've already had the news a few weeks ago that semi-truck is they're going to go ahead and build that factory over there, although we're still not seeing much activity in terms of walls going up or anything. But he said that the Cybertruck now is well, as Lutz, like Jeff Lutz likes to talk about it, a design
Lock.
Yeah, design lock. So that was news. That would have been news all by itself. I mean, these things are all newsworthy, all on their own. So design lock on Cybertruck, and he says he sees this
Semi.
Huh?
The semi truck.
And he says he sees it going to big volume.
Yeah, that's gonna be I think in the same realm as Tesla Energy, where it's not like the sexiest thing,
Yeah,
but it's gonna print money.
yeah. And different people have different numbers on that. I'm hoping for $1 million a year, and Brian Wong is hoping for $4 million a year. I'm with Brian.
Wow.
$4 million a year would be great. He thinks so. He thinks that they will own that market by themselves, that nobody else will be able to compete, and that the 4 million that are sold internationally each year, it'll all be Tesla because it'll be just a complete standout.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I hope.
Well, he did mention that the mega packs. He also talked about mega packs and power walls, and that was interesting because he says that the limiting factor on why they're not making a lot more of those is just getting up to scale. Even on power walls, he says they're now on the third version, and this is the time when they can start really scaling it, really producing numbers. But they went through iteration 1, iteration 2. He says usually takes that third iteration before they really get the product that they want to really go crazy on. And then he doubled down on that and said, we're now on the second version of the mega packs. And the third version is about 2 years away. Is that how you understood it?
I think so.
Right.
I think so. But I think what was really exciting about that part of the conversation was he said that we're going to jump about 200% year on year.
Yeah. This
I
year.
mean, that's huge.
2 to
That's
300%.
massive.
2 to
Yeah.
300%. Yeah. But there was another one. There was another big piece of news in that one, which is that version 3 of, and he's announcing this 2 years in advance. So I guess he doesn't think anybody else will catch him on this. Version 3 will eliminate the substation.
Yeah.
That is just crazy. It'll be plug the wires into the side of the mega pack and turn it on.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I mean, yeah. Clearly, everything will be internally built or to handle it. It'll be. I think they're going to take a lot of lessons learned from superchargers to do this, but it's the same concept.
Okay. All right. And basically he said that the utilities, and I just picture this, their mouths are hanging open. They're just like shocked that he's going to be able to deliver these mega packs with the substation built in. That's just, he said that's a big deal. And that's pretty interesting from a guy who is changing the world in robo taxis and Optimus and everything else. By the way, did you notice he used my handle, the Optimus Optimist.
Oh, yeah. He got a good chuckle when he said that.
I know. I didn't know that he was aware of my handle. Probably isn't. Let's see. All right. He said about AI. So now we get into your specialization. He said that on AI, nobody is even close to doing AI action off of video.
Yeah.
So in a class by themselves. So I'm guessing he means he thinks it'll be years before anybody will really be able to have a usable version of something that is taking action off of video.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You can do it today. It's not that hard to be frank. Like lots of people can do this. Lots of companies are doing this. But what they're not telling you, not like I know this for a fact, but what I would hypothesize is that what they're not telling you is that there's a lot of heuristic wrapper around, something like CNNs, and they're leaning a lot on heuristics.
Yeah.
And not to say that's bad. I mean, that's Tesla didn't get where they were without doing that.
Right.
That's how they got to where they are now. So I think there's a lot to be said there. And Elon's a little X beef with Jan on X. He put out there that they're not really using CNNs that much anymore. So that's a huge. I really wish we could dive more into that, because that's the biggest question mark that I have in my head right now. Like, well, what are you doing then?
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe you're not using any convolutional neural nets. But I guess what I'm saying is people are doing things, but like even figure AI, like if you watch like the videos where I think there's like an interview and it went to pick up an orange and it kind of missed it, but it still went with the whole motion to like drop it off.
Right.
That's again, can't prove this, but that's a very pre-programmed movement.
Right.
You're not exactly saying like, oh, I screwed up, let me go right
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Right. A human doesn't like grab something and do that. Right. So anyways, I guess what I'm saying is like people are using videos and doing actions from it, but they're not doing it the same way. They're
Right.
not doing it as fast or as real time. They're not doing it at scale, and they definitely don't have the ability right now to do it just with heavy neural net models without a whole bunch of actual like C that's wrapped around it. So
Yeah.
again, I know that sounds like not like a big differentiator. It's like, oh, okay, well they'll eventually get there, but it's not that straightforward. It's like if I told you to go and figure out how to build, I don't know, a car, and you've never
Right.
built a car, and then I'm over here as Ford Motors, and I'm like, yeah, like you get the idea. You need wheels, you need some kind of engine or motor, but like we're not exact. Like, yeah, you get the concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
you're not exactly what we're doing.
Which reminds me back to Optimus again, though. He said that the Optimus will be able to see and say, or see and do rather. So you'll just say, watch me do it, and the robot will do it, or you'll be able to tell it to do it, and it'll be able to do it. So it won't require specific training for each job. He says right now that the training is very specific and very hard, but he's saying that by 2026, it will be, you tell it what to do and it'll do it, or say, watch me do it, and then it'll just copy you, or show it a video and it'll just copy the video.
Yeah, that's exciting
Yeah.
to
This
see
is
to
all
see
new.
what
This
it can
is
do from
all,
there.
this is
Yeah.
stuff we speculated a lot about, but it was interesting to have him put timelines on. This is the part that I like, is putting all these timelines on things.
Yeah. What'll be interesting though is like let's say I had a humanoid here, right? And I said, "Hey, I want you to wash those dishes and put it away." Okay, well, when it's done, what's it do?
Yeah.
Does it know to just chill out? Does it know to come back to me and ask, "Okay, I'm
What do you
done.
want
What do you
next?
want next?" Like, I mean, like, and by the way, for anybody who's an employee out there where you work a job with a team or under your manager that's kind of task based, the best thing you can do to look good is when you finish a task, go to your boss, go to your manager, say, "Hey, boss, manager, I finished that. What else you got? What else can I help with?" Like that will set you apart so fast from anyone
Yes.
else. It's unreal.
Something else that'll set you ahead even faster is finding it for yourself and actually
Yeah.
going ahead and taking on the next task, unless there's just nothing, absolutely zero. There's just nothing that you can see or conceive of to do next. Or you could also go up and say, hey, there's 3 things I'm thinking of. Which one of you,
Yeah.
which would you like me to do?
I would do that one because you never know what they might be saying. Like, hey, like I didn't want you to start that because we're about to have this going on. And now you're in the middle of that. We got to finish that. Now I'm a man down. Like that, you don't want that. So I like what you're saying. Like, hey, boss, I finished that. I was gonna go start this unless there's a reason I shouldn't. But yeah,
So another one, not quite news, but he gave us a lot more color around it, that the FSD's limiting factor right now in terms of training is not enough interventions. So this was pretty interesting in that, there's as much as he's getting all these millions of miles out there, when you don't have very many interventions anymore. He said his professional drivers are getting bored because there's no interventions, and so there's nothing for them to report, nothing for them to redo, because they're not getting any interventions.
yeah, I take that with a grain of salt though, because while I'll sit here and tell you that I can drive for a long time without interventions,
Right,
I can also tell you where I will have an intervention 100% of the time.
right.
Every time I get to my final destination, anytime to pull in my driveway, anytime I need to go into the garage, anytime I actually need to park, I need to intervene every single time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I would love for us to work on that or have a release of that. And I'm sure they are. They know things that I don't. They see areas they need to work on. But you know what? Let me be a little selfish. If we could just do those things, like that would be such a wow moment.
So he also gave a couple of other timelines. He said that I think these were new. Maybe I missed them, but he says that hardware 4 by the end of the year and hardware 5 by
Yeah.
the next year.
Yeah. hardware 4 meaning that FSD will be trained for hardware 4.
Right.
Um, and doesn't mean we're going to have an FSD version of that because
Right.
they still have to finish building out the data center. Then they've got to get all of the servers in there, figure out how to connect all of them because that's going to be a new challenge. Then they actually got to train and then eventually push it out. So I would say like anticipate like, I don't know, halfway through next year before we see a FSD version with just FSD or with hardware 4 trained. And he did not say, I got to correct you, Randy.
Oh,
He did not talk about hardware 5. That's not what he talked about.
okay.
He talked about AI 5.
AI 5, that's right. They're going to change the name. I forgot. That's right. That's right. And then it'll be 10 times as capable as hardware 4, which is 5 times as capable as hardware 3. So that's just capability. That's not in terms of intervention stuff, just in terms of
Yeah.
ability to
That's just
read.
the hardware. Yeah.
Yeah, just the hardware. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, we also had half of the company, half of the engineering that is done by Tesla is software engineering. Would you have guessed that?
Um, yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Between Dojo and the internal software, the inference chips, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, the stuff that's used in the energy sector, between all of the things that they do, he says about 50% of the hours or 50% of the people or whatever are working on software.
Yeah, I mean, and there's their CRM, there's the Tesla app, there's gonna be the Robotaxi app, there's to your point, the Megapack software, but there's the supercharging software, there's the actual user interface on the computer, there's the back end firmware teams. Yeah, I mean, you can go on and on.
Yeah. I did remember one more thing about the about Optimus, because Optimus is my favorite product. 10,000, it'll cost $10,000 at scale to build the Optimus, maybe even less, but that's his estimate. So he's been talking about a $30,000 Optimus and a 20. We never knew whether it was cost or whether it was sell, but he made it very, very, very clear this time. He's expecting at scale to make these for $10,000 a piece, which, by the way, is very close to what Scott and I have been talking about for a year. We thought maybe it could come down to as low as 7,000, but he's been adding an awful lot of like, again, movement of the hand and stuff that might be costing some significant money. But now 10,000 at cost is his goal, and then sell them at 20,000. So that was interesting because he didn't say anything about leasing them or anything about any other kind of method but he just talked about selling them. So that was another kind of newsworthy thing. That doesn't mean he won't lease them. It doesn't mean that there won't be different methods of putting them into use. Doesn't mean that you won't have to pay a monthly charge, even after paying your 20,000 in order to use the software. But that was interesting. $10,000 each, $20,000 sell.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really surprised about the leasing or anything like that. I mean, if you think back to when Hertz was going to buy all the Teslas, Elon was very flat out like they're not getting any deal or discounts.
Right.
They need to buy it just like everybody else, which is the other reason why I don't think Robotaxi will have like a fleet. If you want to have your fleet, you're gonna have to go buy it and do it. You're
Sure,
like
yeah.
Tesla's not pandering to you. It's everybody has the same ability to go and buy. There's no sweetheart deals here.
Yep. Well, on a non-product issue, he says that he and the ex-president of the United States talk all the time. That Mr. Trump calls him, picks up the phone
Yeah,
just out of the blue, not just, hey, what's going on, Elon?
I won't lie. I didn't hate that. I didn't hate that. I mean, I'm pretty convinced he's going to be the next president. And you know what? For this next phase of Tesla, this next book, as Elon put it,
Yes, the next book.
I wouldn't mind having a friendly,
Yeah,
U.S. government
administration.
that actually celebrates the greatest entrepreneur, engineer, mind of our lifetime. Like it would be nice to have somebody in the White House who recognizes that, even if they don't see eye to eye on many things, just to understand that, respect that, and like I love that. Like that's honestly, I would have so much more respect for Biden if he would have just done that.
Right.
Like again, I don't need to agree with everything that you say, but like the things that are just so blatantly obvious and you don't do the again, we never even got a congratulations SpaceX
I
on
know.
the first like that is just un-American to me. Like just at the soul of it, of what that is the definition of the American spirit.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
nothing from the president, from the white it's just gross. Like I hate politics like this. It's not like I'm all for gamification and people having different ideas, but as long as like, and that's fine. We're all gonna have different ideas and points of view, but as long as we all agree that we're trying to move forward and we want to celebrate the greatness that comes out of it and our diversity of ideas. But the fact that you are going to be so cold to excommunicate someone from speeches or congratulations and you can't even put your differences aside, it's pathetic.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. So he made a couple of decisions on the fly when the questions were being asked, and one of those was that he says he will. Now, sometimes he makes these decisions on the fly and they never happen, but we'll just see when it does. People were asking for another interlude where FSD could be transferred from one card to another, and he says, "I'll do another quarter." Not
I
going to
wish
happen.
he No, it will. No, I'm sure it will. I just it the thing that kind of rubbed me wrong about a lot of the questions that are being asked, like I'm not saying that they're bad questions, but I don't like it when it's about me, about things I want. Like you had one lady ask about the being able to have a campground for when she's in her vehicle
Oh
down
yeah, yeah,
South Texas. It's like,
right.
okay, well, you're asking that really for yourself. You had somebody else, like to your point, saying, "Oh, well, I'm thinking about getting another one, but the whole FSD transfers hold me back." And it's like, you had another guy asking about his business. How can my business do stuff with you? And it's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what are we doing here? Like, it's just the whole. It's just so selfish. It's like, why don't you ask a question that's going to help everybody else learn more about what we don't know,
Exactly.
rather than just trying to be it's a little gross to me. Like I get it. Hey, we're all playing our own game and trying to make our own way, and you're at the mic, you got your shot, go for it. But I just wish people would be a little more selfless.
There was another announcement, which I guess he's already been thinking about, but I think it came up in question and answer. Anyway, he said that he's contemplating and probably will allow for some more of these free trials on
Yeah.
FSD when there is a major improvement, where it's a really significant, something that people would recognize as a big improvement. Maybe a 2-week free trial, just let everybody that doesn't have it yet have a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So essentially, what he was saying is 12.4, you'll have one. 12.5, you'll have one. 12.6, you'll have one. He was saying that each one of those, if you just look at it as 4, 5, 6, 7, forget the 12, think of it as a 2x to 10x improvement each time. And so with that, I would say it's brilliant to do that, because you're going to get to a point where you're going to be excited to get your 2 weeks, and it's going to get to a point where you're going to be like, all right, like I'm sick of driving without this. I don't know what your situation is, Randy, but as you know, we had our car in the shop for a few
Right,
weeks,
right.
and having to drive without FSD was. This isn't me just being a fanboy. I'm telling you, it was torture. It really was. It felt so unsafe. Um, it just felt draining. It's it just wasn't great. Like people are going to get addicted.
Yeah, so I had a news story this morning that nobody
Ooh.
probably cares about or is really paying much attention to, but Elon doubled down on it in his talk today, and that is the whole China-Taiwan problem. So
Mm.
the news story this morning was that one of Tesla's suppliers said he got an email saying that they should be looking to make sure that they have capacity in other countries besides China and Taiwan. So if that's all they're doing right now is China and Taiwan, they need to have something going on in Vietnam or Cambodia, or, they need to have South Korea. They need additional capacity in case there's some kind of a problem in China, Taiwan. And Elon doubled down on that concept in his conversation, saying, basically, that's why they're putting in that refinery, the lithium refinery. Yes, there might be issues with having enough refining capacity in the world, but he wants to make sure that Tesla is not out of refined lithium if there is a problem with getting product out of China.
Yeah, you're only as good as your slowest moving part, your least available part of the supply chain. So I think it's good that they're doing that. Although, not to get into politics, but I do think the risk of that shrinks with the new president.
That's definitely true. I agree with you on that one. All right, so that's my list. Did I miss anything? Was there anything that you're thinking of that was?
Well, there was a question that was asked of Elon. I don't think Elon understood what the gentleman was trying to ask, and I don't think the gentleman asked it in the most cogent way. But I would like to ask you the question, Randy. So ARK Invest has their new price targets out. Base case 2,600, bear case 2,000, bull case 3,100, something like that.
Yep.
That's for 2029, 5 years from now. They do 5-year price targets.
Right.
This model is predominantly based off of robo-taxis.
Yes.
Sure, they've got certain for electric vehicles, but let's just focus on robo-taxis and assume that's where all the revenue and profits come from. My question to you, based on that type of market cap, how many robo-taxis do you think Tesla needs to have in production to hit those numbers? That's what the gentleman was trying to ask, but he didn't ask it in a clear way.
And so the problem for that one is that I need my slide rule.
Okay.
I can't do that one off the top of my head. Have you done the math on that one?
I think 10 million.
10 million total units on the road.
Yeah, I think
Combined between owned by Tesla and out there by consumers.
I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, 10 million. Let me see if this is possible. Let me see if I can.
How much revenue are you anticipating per month to Tesla per vehicle? Average.
Well, that's a great question, Randy.
Yeah.
Let me see. What happens if I share this? Let's see what happens.
All right.
Do you see the calculator?
I do. Okay.
Oh, cool. Okay. So here's what I think.
Okay.
If we could take 10 million.
Right.
Oh, I wish. Hold on. Can I put commas in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Sorry. If I can't figure this out quickly, I will just stop. Let's see. Decimal places. I don't want that. I want show 1,007. There we go. Cool. Nice. All right. That will help. Okay. So 10 million.
Okay.
I think if you look it up, like the average Uber is driving 200 miles a day.
Okay.
All right. So times 200 miles.
Okay.
Times 365 for a year, right?
Right.
But those miles, half of them are trash miles, right? It's I pick you up from the airport. All right, we'll have to go and drive to my next destinations, right? It's actually, they say it's 30%. It's not really 50-50, but let's just divide it by 2 and say it's 50.
Okay.
All right, so this is how many real miles we have.
300
Let's say that, yeah,
billion.
that's 365 billion miles a year.
Right. Or a billion a day.
Or a billion a day. Yeah, good. Look at you. So if you multiply that by, say, 50 cents,
okay,
that's your revenue per year.
Right.
That's $182 billion per year with robotaxi on 10 million. If you times that by, say, I don't know, a 30 multiple,
there's your 5 trillion.
That's your 5 trillion. I mean, now mind you, that's revenue. There, there's probably like lots of margins and stuff. But again, let's assume it's times 0.7. Okay, so you're still at 3.84 trillion, and that's with 10 million.
Okay, so
I think,
at least roughly speaking, the answer to the question is 10 million.
yeah, I think, and again, I'm saying 50 cents a mile. That's
Yeah.
really cheap, like, and
Well,
I'm
that's
saying 50% junk miles, which really we know is 30.
30, right?
So
Okay.
yeah, I think it's pretty conservative.
Yeah, and if you're wrong again by half, then it's you need 20 million. It's still
Yeah.
not a lot out of how many 2 billion that we have on the road now.
Yeah.
2 billion cars on the road now, and you're saying you need 20 million, 10 million robo-taxis.
10.
That's not a lot.
With extremely conservative assumptions, with
Yes.
only a 30 PE,
Right.
which we have a much higher PE right now. I mean, like, if you put like a 50 PE, I think we're at like $8-9 trillion. So I think like 10 million is like the sweet spot there.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, so I mean, if you think about it, that seems really doable.
I'm glad that we could answer. I'm hoping that guy's watching this show.
He should be. But that's just my back of the napkin math, just
Yeah.
without too many assumptions.
So because of all of this activity today, watching the show all day, all afternoon, and etc., I have no idea what happened in the rest of the world. We could have had Miami might have been washed away into the sea. Are you getting any of that crazy rain in your part of Florida? No.
No more than normal rain. Just okay. We get our normal afternoon showers.
Miami had to shut down the airport twice, I guess, because they were flooded. The airport was flooded. I've never heard of that before. They're calling it a once every 500-year flood or rain or something. Okay, so I have no idea. Was there anything in the financial news that you know of that we should care about this afternoon? Or you were doing the same thing? You were completely consumed by the.
I was, and they actually, the majority of on CNBC, the majority of the segments today were all about maybe at least 25% of them were all about this vote and all that, and all they wanted to talk about was to remind everybody this severe dilution this will have to Tesla shareholders. That's all they wanted to talk about.
I did see a couple of videos on CNBC that were on Apple now becoming the leader in AI.
Yeah.
All they went from being the last to being the leader. Somebody's just not paying attention to who the real leader is. Anyway, they'll figure it out soon enough when when those three are when Microsoft, Apple, and NVIDIA are not the ones fighting for number one in market cap, and Tesla's just kind of going right past them.
That's going to be a fun moment in time. It's as good as today felt.
Yes.
It's going to, man, that's just going to feel so much better. It's not even going to be close.
All right. I'm going to apologize for not doing the financial news tonight. You'll just have to wait for the morning when we will, of course, have the regular morning show, the after the bell, which is now 40 minutes after the bell instead of 10 minutes after the bell. And that means that it's about an hour and 10 minutes when you see it. So roughly speaking, who knows? But anyway, that's turned out to be a lot better, by the way. I'm going to just remark one more time. Oh, maybe I won't because I think I've lost it. Here we go. I'm just going to mention this again. Send me an email. My email's down below in the description. If you want to get in on this, you can now, this is the camouflage version, but if you want pink camouflage, or if you want, what's your favorite? Have you seen a wrap that really makes you excited?
I kind of like the all black or the satin, the satin white.
Yeah.
I think they look nice. I would also, you could probably do sports teams, I imagine.
Absolutely. You put your brand on here, name of your store, sports teams. I mean, anything you want. You can, whatever you want to put on there, as long as you have the rights to use the image or the name, you can put anything you want on that Cybertruck. And basically think of it in terms of $30 a piece. That'll be close enough for most applications. And you and I can figure it out in terms of the volume that you want to buy. So that's my big news of the day. Any last minute thoughts? One more passionate idea.
Just congratulations, everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed today, and it's gonna be a bright future, and it's time for a new book.
A new book, not my book, his book. Tesla's. Yeah. He says it's not a chapter, it's a book. Thank you for helping us get through all of that. What a phenomenal day. Nicholas, we will see you next Tuesday, the normal day. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.
Cheers.